Vision Pro heroes, assassins, guardians, sorcerers, a dark force has taken over the underworld. We must unite to vanquish this unholy force. Join me as I delve deep into the world of DEMEO. Is this our first hit Vision Pro game? And is it worth the insane price of $39.99? DEMEO is already a cross-platform hit, raking in millions of dollars. Now it's here on Apple Vision Pro. Let's take a look at what design decisions Resolution Games has made. First, the controls. You'll notice some issues right away. In pass-through mode, menu buttons have proper hover states so you know what your pinch target will be. But in the game's immersive or windowed modes, the buttons and characters have no hover state. It's hard to know what you will pinch. Resolution Games did bring some new controls though. You use a middle finger pinch to move the board around in all three directions. Not many apps use middle finger pinch, and I think it's really cool. More games and maybe Vision OS itself will start to use this gesture in the future. Building on top of that, you use two-hand middle finger pinch to do scaling and rotation of the environment. This is very intuitive and you can rotate and scale at the same time. I was very quickly familiar with how to move around the level. You move your characters with a direct grab or gaze pinch and hold. The pawn doesn't swing while it's in the air, which would have added more physicality to the game. They do make a nice plop sound and animation when you drop the piece in place. You target enemies' chests or doors by dropping your character onto the target. Before dropping, you will also see an icon next to the target where your character will land. Throwing the die is a mixed bag. You use direct pinch or gaze pinch and hold, but the physics are not satisfying. The die just kind of falls and rolls around a bit, or sometimes falls off the board and warps back in. Since throwing the die isn't really all that satisfying, I usually just gaze and pinch and let the die drop in place. To use cards, you turn either hand palm up, and your available cards will fan out. You either direct pinch or gaze pinch and hold to grab a card, then drop the card on its target. On your right hand, there's a character turnover wheel around the wrist. You can skip the current character's turn by pinching the character icon for 3 seconds. Palm up your left hand and there's a menu button that you use to exit out of the game or access the options menu. The game starts up in a shared space as a volumetric app. You get a really cool book that looks really good up close. There's 2 modes to play the game, windowed and immersive. The windowed mode is basically a giant iPad version of the game with a bit of 3D adornment. I just completely skipped this mode. There's not much impressive about it. There's no stereoscopy implemented and no head tracking, so it's really not that impressive. Don't waste your time on windowed mode. Resolution Games should just remove this from the game. The immersive mode, on the other hand, is a total pleasure. It's a port of the VR version of the game, but still very cool. Because of the scaling feature, you really get to see the magic of playing this in MR instead of in physical life. You can zoom way in and feel like you're right there in the action with the characters. You can see the details of the animations and effects in glorious detail. Resolution included a glove option so that you can play with themed gloves or with your pass-through hands. All very cool. A couple things that this game falls a bit short on is that the rendering resolution is not very high in the immersive mode. Disappointing compared to Game Room, another Vision Pro game by Resolution Games. The resolution being low most likely is a performance problem. Hopefully Resolution and Apple can work together to improve this. Secondly, the game only has an immersive mode. It does not have a pass-through game mode. That's disappointing. Likely due to Vision OS not being able to support metal shaders for a Unity game in pass-through mode, and Resolution not wanting to redevelop their shaders. Vision OS 2 though has added metal shader support in pass-through, and Unity has already announced support. Hopefully Resolution will be able to add a pass-through mode later this year. So overall, the spatial design is pretty good and very playable. Resolution showed some innovation in controls and uses a decent amount of the abilities of the platform. 4 out of 5 in spatial design. This is a ported VR game. It looks like all of the versions of this game use the same assets. So even though the Apple Vision Pro has much better displays, ported assets and the low resolution rendering means it looks similar as on any other platform. Character and monster design is okay, but nothing extraordinary. That can be said for pretty much the whole game. The environments, the spell and card effects, it's all okay, but not amazing. I will say one aspect that I'm most disappointed at is the lack of story and drama. What made Dungeons & Dragons beloved is great characters, fantastical worlds, and fantastic storytelling. 3 out of 5 for graphics and production. I had a lot of fun with this game. As an RPG game on PC, console, or mobile, it would be too simple and miserably boring and generic. But as a spatial experience, it's an absolute pleasure. The game plays fast and there's an ample variety in spells, enemies, and surprises. The ability to go from a bird's eye view to a zoomed in, on the ground view brings a great sense of immersion and delight. On top of a solid single player mode, there's also a cross-platform multiplayer mode, so you can even enjoy play with friends, new and old. 4 out of 5 in fun factor. I enjoy this game. This is one of the deepest games available yet on Apple Vision Pro. It comes with 7 different heroes and 5 different adventure modules to play. It has a ton of replayability in both single player and online multiplayer. And as an extra treat, DEMEO is a universal purchase on the Apple platform. That means you buy it once and you can play it on your Mac, iPad, and Apple Vision Pro. Currently, it's priced at $39.99 and is one of the, if not the most expensive games on Apple Vision Pro. Resolution Games has not been clear if they are actively making new content for this game or not. If they are, I hope they release higher resolution content and deeper storylines in the future. Even at this price point, I think this game provides very good value. 4 out of 5 in value. I did encounter a fair number of bugs in this game. I tested this game with Vision OS 2. It does not handle sleep and awake well. If I went to the main Vision OS menu and back, the game would not be playable and I'd have to force quit. The middle finger pinch is too sensitive and triggers differently than the normal pinch. This causes the middle finger pinch to sometimes trigger even when my hand is just in a relaxed position. The game did not take into account that players would want to zoom in and feel like they are on the ground. When you are zoomed in, the UI is often scaled giant and way above where you can see. The gloves mode often did not turn off the matted real hands. The result is ghosted double hands, which makes the game unplayable. Selecting profile picture in the turn order UI is also very difficult. Most importantly, the movement controls are still a bit hard to use, especially when zoomed way in on the action. The movement required of your arms to move around the level is very, very tiring. Overall, 3 out of 5 in QA and bugs. Resolution Games has done a decent job bringing DEMEO to Apple Vision Pro. There's room for improvement, so I hope they keep updating this game, especially since Apple is making a lot of improvements with Vision OS 2. My final impressions is that this game is really fun and a great example of how gaming experiences can be reimagined in spatial computing. I found the hours flying by because I was having so much fun. I just hope Resolution Games keeps bringing more content to this game. Final score, 4 out of 5, one of the first outstanding games on Apple Vision Pro. Subscribe to my channel for more news, tips, and reviews on Apple Vision Pro gaming. And now, watch my first impressions of Job Simulator, another fantastic game for Apple Vision Pro.